Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. This is probably going to be the last work in progress here for the full resin kit here of the 1/35 scale 5DR rescue labor. As you can see, last episode I had it based up. Now I've gone ahead and added a cork layer, which I'm going to work on some more for the ground layer for this. Basically what my plan is now is to just start on painting the main kit. Then I'll work some more on the ground, and then I can kind of like, meld them together by adding the ground effects and stuff, bringing that up onto the kit, but I can't do that once the kit's already painted. So we're gonna do that first, and then we'll add our little 1/35 scale skull face painted kit into there in the front as well once I've got that painted. That's not painted yet either. So if you guys have not seen the previous work in progress episodes, go back and check those out. But I decided to add an extra step and do a multicolor layer, sometimes known as the Max Watanabe painting style or painting technique, whatever. I decided to do that here on this before we get into the main colors, because the colors for this, if you guys saw my last work in progress video, I'm going to be painting it up similar to the Sahelanthropus from Metal Gear Solid 5. And because it's just a very gray color scheme, I thought, giving it this multicolor base would help give some nice color variance amongst all just the different shades of gray, basically. So that's what we're going to do here now for the start. The paints that I'm going to be using for this are all going to be SMS paints. For this layer, I'm going to be using SMS Bright Blue, SMS Green, SMS Marigold Orange, which is going to be our yellow color, and then a Signal Red. And you can all go ahead and place your bets now for how many photo etch parts you think that I'm going to end up damaging in the painting process and having to fix in the middle of that. Alright, once all that's done, here's how it's gonna look. Pretty wild as it is there. One thing that I've found very helpful, I'll tell you guys, is this turntable was something that was just included with my airbrush spray booth. But for a kit like this that's kind of difficult to hold and manage while you're trying to hand paint it, to be able to just set it on there and be able to rotate this around while I'm working on painting it is very helpful. So I will say, it's something that's nice to have. For now, I'm gonna go ahead then and paint the actual main colors. I think I went over these briefly in the previous video, or maybe I showed them to you guys, but I've got a number of different gray colors basically here that I'm gonna be using for it. The white that you see here will be used for maybe a couple of details, and mostly just for like the kind of skull marking on the front of it. And just to note about like the way that I would generally go about painting a kit like this, or when I'm hand painting kits, what I'll do is paint like the hard to reach places first, which would be like the joints, or like if it was a Gundam kit, it would be like the inner frame, right? But just the joints, any hard to reach places, I'd paint those colors first, and then all like the main outer armor stuff would paint later. Now this kit has a lot of different parts, a lot of details on it, so there's going to be kind of a lot of stuff going on. I want to try to get a lot of nice color variance between the different grays. I can get a little bit creative as to like where I'm going to place everything, but let's go ahead and get started. So on that note, for the first couple colors I'm going to be using for the two tones of dark gray for the frame parts. The frame parts on the Sahelanthropus are mostly either dark gray or white, and so I've got Sasebo gray here and Gunship gray for our two darker gray colors. Neutral gray is going to act as the white, and I'm also going to switch up to a flats type brush just because the way that the camo is like laid out on this, I'm not going to try to replicate the camo exactly right like it is on the Sahelanthropus, at least like it shows in the Kotobukiya instruction manual for the Sahelanthropus. But using a flat brush should hopefully give me a little bit of that kind of angular look and like the brush strokes around in different areas, and that will somewhat kind of replicate the look of the camo, I think. But anyway, we'll see, we'll find out. Alright guys, so here it is. All the base painting is now done. I'm ready to go in and first paint the skull on the front of there and then get into the weathering. So basically the first step of the weathering is just going to be giving this a all over coat of Mr. Weathering color from Mr. Hobby. But I just want to give you guys a look. So you can still see some of the like rainbow colors kind of poking out here and there just in little bits. So it's intentionally painted a bit loosely like that, not for like full-on coverage, and just painting like the white tubes was a bit tricky, but that's how it's looking so far. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and get the skull painted on and then just start weathering it up.
2 hours later.
Okay, so once the skull has been painted and the kit has been thoroughly slopped here with the Mr. Weathering color dark brown, as you can see, now we're ready to start the cleanup process of that and any other further weathering that I might do, which I don't think will really be necessarily all that much. I think that will basically probably be about it. So I'm gonna be using just some Q-tip and brush and lighter fluid, and we'll get to work. And there you can get a sense of how that's looking now, just to continue slowly and carefully over the rest of the model. And once that's all done, here it is, all, I was gonna say cleaned up, somewhat cleaned up from being all dirtied up, and cleaned up to a level that I'm happy with for the time being. I want it to be pretty dark and pretty dirty and grungy looking, so I'm happy with how that's looking. You can see in like certain areas, like especially around the feet, I left it especially dirty, and like underneath, like under like kind of some of the joints and areas there. Certain areas it's dirtier than others. So the main unit kind of at the moment is basically done, and what I'm going to do is shift my focus now to the base, and we'll finish that. The first thing I'm going to do is put some stones here, so I'm going to somewhat attempt to go for a terrain sort of looking like Afghanistan, seeing as how we have the Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain theme going with this. And so that's going to be like the color scheme for the rock, and I have this cork so far kind of shaped a little bit in a way so that it looks, I'm going to try to make it look a little bit like a kind of dried gully sort of area here. I'm going to place some of these stones on here, and then we'll work on it some more from there. Okay, now that is finally done as well. It took a while, but I think it's going to be looking good. Anyway, like I said, I was trying to recreate an Afghan terrain. And when I say done, I guess I should say it's not entirely done, just all the rocks are placed anyway. And just like looking at photos and different reference images of like Afghan terrain, it's just like very rocky. And so I think I may well still add a bit of water just like in this section here, even though it should be like very dry and rocky, maybe just for the effect. Just a little bit of water there, but I added all the stones in there. So now all that's left to do is then just go ahead and paint that. I'll add in some more effects, and also bring some of the effects up onto the model a little bit, just with some pigments, just so it looks like there's some like more of this rocky dust around on the feet and stuff like that. So I'll finish the base up, but I also did go ahead and paint up the skull face figure here, which I'm very, very happy with. I'm really happy with how this came out. This as well, I just hand painted all with just SMS lacquer paints. So a very kind of different style of hand painting small scale figures as far as I know. I think most people don't really hand paint them with lacquer, but I figure that's what I'm doing for the main model kit, so I'll try it out here for the figure as well. Fortunately, it worked out pretty well, and then just gave it a wash, just very similar to the model, just gave it a wash with just some ground brown. It's dark brown color there for that, and yeah, I think it came out looking really nice, so very happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is just finish up the painting and the effects here for the base, and then in the next video I'll give you guys the full reveal of the completed model kit, but that's going to do it for now, guys. Here you go, really happy with how this is looking, and I think it's going to be pretty cool when it's all done. So that's gonna do it for today. Thanks so much for checking out the work in progress, guys. Stay tuned for the final reveal very soon. See you guys then. Bye.